Oh my goodness. It is absolutely amazing to see the room open up and fill. That's amazing. Um, Welcome, everyone. Good evening. My name is Erica Higuera, and I am a member of the board of Teach the Shoah. This evening, we are so very honored, so very pleased that so many of you have joined us. This is our very first time doing a gala. This is our very first time showcasing who we are and bringing that to you in all that it is. And so tonight, we're going to begin with two acknowledgements in memoriam. First, to Dr. Uta Larkey, who passed in July. Dr. Larkey was a professor at Goucher College. She was prolific and a thought leader in Holocaust survivor research. And many of the innovations she brought into the classroom, the introduction of storytelling into the curriculum, is what's inspired a lot of what Teach the Shoah brings today to its classwork. We are also honoring Dr. Edward Radish, Joe, who was a professor of physics at the University of Maryland, and not only a nuclear physicist, but a pioneer in the education of physics, of seeing more and more students come to love and understand physics. And he is one of the founding supporters and advocates and voices of Teach the Shoah. He's also the father of our executive director and co-founder, Dr. Deborah Radish. And so, Deborah, on behalf of this community, on behalf of the board, on behalf of all of us who deeply care for you, may his memory be for a blessing. Teach the Shoah tells stories, but they are not just stories, they are testimonies. And so we are going to step immediately into that which is our purpose and our mission. The year is 1939. We are in Bratislava, which was then Czechoslovakia. We are at a movie theater. And tonight our storyteller is Violet Neff, who will share selected scenes from a story based on the testimony of Renee Hartman.
Curly blonde hair, just like Shirley Temple. When I was a little girl, my father would take me to the matinee at the cinema to see the hero of all the little girls, Shirley Temple. I would go in, sit side by side with the multitude of little blonde girls. We would giggle, we would laugh, we would squeeze up close, we would get excited, and then the lights would go down. The theater screen would light up, and there she was. We sang, we often danced in the aisle, we played, we were joyful, because for that period of time, we could forget the world and just live like the little girl we wanted to be. Now, my father would take me, but he never came in. He stood on the sidewalk outside. He stayed outside, and he held my coat. Because on that coat was a yellow Star of David that marked us as Jews. And Jews were not allowed in the cinema. Not even like me, with curly blonde hair, just like Shirley Temple.
Let's all take a deep breath. These stories are always so moving, so touching. Violet, I actually have not heard that story before, and I love the vision of the little girl that all of us can relate to, that everybody in this room has been in a movie theater like that, has had an idol, has wanted to be like the little Shirley Temple on the screen. And the need to hide oneself within that is so moving. So thank you for a wonderful start of our storytelling tonight.
Thank you.
So Violet, I'm going to let you pause for a moment. And it was important tonight that we move quickly into story, that we move quickly into sharing what it is that Teach the Shoah does. So now I'm going to take a moment to share with you a little bit about what we're doing tonight. So let's talk a little bit about our journey this evening. I could have the next slide, please. Thank you. Tonight is about 7 years in the making, and we're going to tell as tightly as we can our own story. We're going to talk about who we are in our storytelling, but we're also going to share who we were and what we are becoming. And the way I've been sharing this with people is we're going to talk about something honored, which is our testimony, something true, which is our faithfulness to the history and the memories of those whose stories we share. And then Deborah is going to show us something new tonight that we're very excited about at Teach the Shoah. Later tonight, you're also going to be hearing about Vera Kestenberg, who is our honored guest and a Shoah survivor, as well as from our newest storyteller, Acadia Schechter, and this is a very special part of our program. And very quickly, I want to take a moment to share a few bits of information that might be helpful. First of all, those of you who've attended our programs know we tend to give very detailed introductions. That's not going to quite be the case tonight. We're going to move into stories very differently and quickly. But I want to let you, and so therefore you're going to be hearing selected scenes as opposed to the full stories you might have heard before. And so we'll be doing what we call set slides, and then we'll be doing and hearing a selected scene from the teller. But if you want more information and you want to have some details, keep your eye on the chat and you will see information about who was just spoken about that you can see for yourself and read a little bit more. You are also welcome to chat and to share and to put things in the chat. We only ask two things. Please do not use the chat while a teller is sharing testimony. And please use the chat as often as you like after that to share your appreciations. And appreciations are exactly what Deborah just did for Violet, which is a way of saying thank you. Thank you for bringing us this story and bringing us this moment. And you can share that in any way you like in the chat. So if I could have the next slide, and if I could have Violet up here with me, that would be great. Thank you. Violet, thank you so much. And I know that the teller always has a moment when they are telling the story. So if you and I could come in front of everybody, I was wondering, Violet, how are you feeling after that? How was that?
It is a beginning because there is so much to this girl's story that I tend to just want to keep going. And I want the people who listen to me and who hear her story to want to hear more also.
Excellent, thank you. So Violet, you have been involved with Teach the Shoah from day one. You are one of our co-founders. And I wanted to ask you, there are so many ways that one can participate in Shoah awareness and education. And I want to know from you, why have you chosen this way? Why is Teach the Shoah where you put your passion and your energy?
Because it goes back to who will tell the stories and who's going to tell our stories but us. and our family. I come from a very large family, and storytelling about what grandpa did or what cousin did is a common thing. But I feel that telling the stories of our families that either perished, were murdered, or survived, Baruch Hashem, that it is important that we tell these. It is important.
Thank you. I'd now like to move to Lynn Feldman, who is the Director of Holocaust Scholarship. And thank you. And this is Lynn's set slide. And it is August 1944. We are on the arrival platform at Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. And Lynn is going to share the story, not just of Tula Wallach Melzer, but also of her mother.
We got off the train onto the ramps, me and my mother. So much noise, so much chaos. People shouting, left, right, left, right. What is good and left and what is good and right? We don't know. We got separated, my mother and I. I was taken to the showers, the real ones, the ones with water. We were shouted at that we need to take everything off. And as I'm about to take off my coat, there's something in my pocket. My mother's glasses. Who put them there? Me? My mother? It doesn't matter. The glasses have to stay with me. I put the glasses on. And when I'm shouted at again that everything has to come off, I say, no, I need them to see. So the glasses go with me into the showers. And then I get a uniform. I rip off a piece of the uniform and tie the glasses to my body. The glasses are with me in Auschwitz. The glasses are with me when I moved to another camp. The glasses were with me when I was liberated. And then when I was sent to be rehabilitated in a sanitarium. The glasses were with me when I came to Israel. They were with me when I met my husband and I got married. The glasses were with me when I had my 2 sons. Years have passed. The glasses started crumbling. So I put them into a sachet, into a little bag, and I keep the bag next to my bed. It's the 1990s. I'm getting old. My babies have babies now. One day I won't be here anymore. What will happen to the glasses? Maybe somebody will throw it away one day. I decide I'm going to take the glasses to Yad Vashem. There's somebody there in a restoration department. They'll know what to do with them. So I go to Yad Vashem and I meet this lovely man. And I tell him my story and I tell him the story of the glasses. And I'm holding the little sachet and I say to him, this is my mother. Please take care of her.
Lynn, it just goes through me hearing that story. There is a poem titled Things by Elaine Kilmer. And the last stanza says, things have a terrible permanence when people die. I feel I know that woman, the one who is holding her mother's glasses, because of your storytelling. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Violet. Lynn, my beloved historian, my good friend. I know that this story is when you have worked on and investigated and worked on. How are you feeling? Hineni, where are you after telling that story?
Well, Hineni Khan, I'm here. Thank you. It's always been important to me to tell Tula's story, because that was the first story I ever told, but also because I think it is the kind where we can relate and relate to objects, day-to-day objects that carry meaning for us. And behind each object, there's a story. And behind each story, there's a person.
And as a historian, as someone who has come at this from the research perspective, how has storytelling enriched your work? How have you found your way?
It has influenced me deeply. I can give an example that I was going to write an academic paper about Vilna, and I was looking for that one person who needed a voice, whose story was not told. So I found that the leader of the Beitar movement, who did not leave a diary and did not survive, his voice has been forgotten. So the way I wrote an academic paper was bringing out his voice in the way that he was mentioned by others. So I was telling his story through other people's perspectives. And it's something that I wouldn't have done beforehand, because I was a historian. So I was looking for all the interesting stories within the Holocaust, but not giving a voice. So storytelling has brought this new aspect for me.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Vera. Lynn, could you put up the information slide for Tula, just so everyone can see? So this is the details that are in the chat. So I just want you to all see that there are these details here about Tula Wallach-Melzer. And if you go to the Yad Vashem website, you can also find much of this information in far greater detail. Now we are going to move to a story that is related to perhaps one of the more famous stories to come out of the Shoah. It is June 17th, 1944. It is Budapest, and we are at the headquarters of the Hungarian Gendarmerie, where Katalin Senes has been brought. Katalin Senes, the mother of Hanna Senes, the famous poet and resistance fighter. And she is about to be questioned by a Hungarian official about, well, I think that's for Jennifer, our director of storytelling, to say.
The investigation takes a strange turn. The Hungarian official is asking me about my daughter Hannah. Why Hannah? Hannah has been living in Haifa for years. He looks at me. Now I can understand why a boy would leave his home to pursue his studies, see the world, embark on a career. But a girl, why would a girl leave her home, her friends, her mother? It's for the exact reasons you just mentioned. There is no future for Jewish youth here in Hungary. And as hurt as I was to see her go 5 years ago, at least she's not here to see and experience the suffering of her fellow Jews. Well, tell me about Hannah. Where exactly is she now? How often do you hear from her? What does she write in her letters? I answer as best I can, but there's more and more questions. Tell me about Hannah as a child. What was she like? Who were her friends? Who were her teachers? What did they say about her? What were her professional aspirations? And what were her ambitions? As far as I know, she still wants to be a teacher. Look, perhaps you see my answers as just a mother's typical pride in her child. But I can tell you that my daughter Hannah is an unusually gifted girl, quite a remarkable young woman. You don't have to take my word for it. You can ask her teachers. I'm sure they will agree with my statement. This finally stops the questioning, and the interrogation comes to a close. I am given a piece of paper typed with my answers, and I am told, read and sign. And so I read and I sign. Now, Mrs. Senish, tell me, where do you really think your daughter is right now? This very minute? I have told you, as far as I know, she is somewhere in the vicinity of Haifa on an agricultural settlement. I see. Well, if you really don't know, then I will tell you. She's here. In Budapest, here in military headquarters, in the adjoining room. And I'm going to bring her in here right now. And you are going to persuade your daughter to tell us everything she knows. Because if she doesn't, this will be the last time the two of you meet. I'm standing at my window. I'm in prison here in Budapest, and I have other cellmates, middle-aged women like myself. We're all looking out the window, across the prison courtyard, to a small window directly opposite. And there is Hannah's face. She's smiling and waving. We've been here, both of us, together in this prison for 1 week. It's June 1944, and the situation for Jews is a precarious, atrocious. And I'm told that my daughter, Hannah, is being interrogated, tortured, kept in solitary confinement. I don't even know how she can see out of that window, but there she is. And she's corresponding with me, with us, by writing letters with her fingers, outlining them again and again in the air. And the first thing she asked is about the yellow star. I write back, we are Hungarian Jews, we must wear it, it's the law. Hannah, why are you not wearing the star? And she writes back, I am no longer considered a Hungarian citizen, and I am not bound by these laws. My cellmate writes, you're lucky to not be so branded. But my Hannah, she takes her finger, and in the dust of her window, she draws a huge Star of David. It's as if she's telling us, I am wearing the star too.
Jennifer, may I appreciate you?
Yes, you may. Thank you, Liv.
So every time I hear you tell this, there's something new that I find
Mm.
intriguing and an awakening in a way. So my favorite part, of course, is the Star of David. But how in this one story, we have a story of resistance, the unique story of the Hungarian jury, the unique situation of the parachuter coming in and being caught and interrogated while her now still fully Hungarian citizen mother is also interrogated. All these things come together to that one point where they're looking at each other across a courtyard. And that is so heartbreaking and yet heart-filling at the same time. And of course, the way you tell it just brings it so alive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was a lovely appreciation. Thanks. Thanks, Lynn.
And now we can have Catalin's information slide so everyone can see it. Thank you. And here it is in the chat. Jennifer. Hineni, how are you after that telling? How are you feeling? Because I have not heard it before.
I feel so honored. I think all of us do, to be able to take something that we know from a source that existed before we existed, and that we get to, for just a little while, feel that story truly slip inside of us and then come back out of us. And it never ceases to amaze me, for all the years of doing storytelling, how incredible it is that a human being can take the opportunity to feel for just a little bit what it might have been like for someone else. We can never be them, but I can just appreciate on some level the depth of her love for her daughter. And I really, today, I have to tell you all, I was thinking, of course, preparing for this, and like always, we all want to do well when we do this work. And I imagined Katalin and Hannah being with me and just giving me a hug. Just saying, you tell our story, we're not here to split.
And I think something that truly comes through is that they are, at least in this story, together again.
Yes, beautifully said, yes.
So something that you and I have talked about, and I'm taking classes and hearing all of the contributions you've made to teach the Shoah. I was wondering, can you speak from your experience, as well as from Teach the Shoah and your greater experience, what do you see and how have you understood the role of storytelling as we move into a new age of Shoah awareness and education? What do you think the storyteller embodies for us as we consider Shoah education and awareness?
I think it goes with what I was saying about, we have these documents, these eco documents, as Lynn has explained to us, these primary sources, and they are so important. Never, ever will we want to take away the primacy of that document and the origin of that, right? From people who live these experiences. And we also need to, in each generation, take those stories into us, let them go inside, and let them be explored by us to be shared with the next generation or our own generation. These documents are not meant, I hope that never are they only for the researcher, for the person who goes into the museum, whether it's digital or in person, that these stories are for all of us. And when the teller tells them, the stories really become for us, right? If we can tell it, we're also not only tellers, we're teachers. And everyone who hears it is then really there's a sort of an expectation that they will teach, be the witness of the witness. So I think that using storytelling as a tool to bring those essential documents and primary sources to life is a gift that every one of us can use, and every generation, God willing, will continue. We will just be the first generation of hundreds of thousands who will keep telling these stories through their own bodies and their own voices. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it bears repeating, and to take a moment and remember, we are all collections of stories. We are collections of stories in community. We're collections of stories from our families. So telling stories is what we do. And now I would like to bring up the set slide for the story that is going to be told by our executive director, our leader, Deborah Fripp. It's November 10th, 1938. And if you're wondering, yes, that is indeed Kristallnacht. But we're at a train at a border crossing stop, and we're en route from Hamburg, Germany to the Netherlands. And we're about to hear why, and why Edward Adler is on this train.
By 3 o'clock that afternoon, I was on a train bound for Amsterdam. See, I have tickets for a ship on the Holland America line, a ship from Amsterdam to America. If only I can get to Amsterdam. If only I can get out of Germany. As we approach the border, a customs official comes into the compartment. Passports, please. I hand him my passport with more than a little trepidation because there is a great big J stamped in red on the first page of my passport. He takes it, looks at it. Where are you headed? Amsterdam. He nods, hands it back to me, moves on. It can't be that easy, can it? Can it? But no, it can't. Of course it can't. Not long after that, a pair of black-shirted SS officers come into the compartment. Passports, please. Ooh, a Jew. You're running away from something, aren't you? Where are you coming from? Hamburg. You didn't check in with the Gestapo this morning, did you? You're running away. Get off at Oldenzaal. Oldenzaal, the last station in Germany before we cross the Dutch border. I am not getting off at Oldenzaal. If they kill me, they kill me. I am not getting off this train. We roll into the station at Oldenzaal. We are supposed to be here for 5 minutes. 1 minute. Two minutes. Each minute is an eternity. 5 minutes is endless. Four minutes. Five minutes. The train starts to roll and rolls to a stop. The SS officers burst into the compartment. We told you to get off at Aldensall. Don't give us any excuses. They pick me up and throw me out the window onto the platform of the station at Aldensall in Germany.
Let's take a moment to just breathe in that story in those last few moments. Deborah, may I give you an appreciation? That was just truly an outstanding telling. The way you use your voice, the way you use your face, the minutes expressed through the wide eyes, the looking this way and that way, the mouth clenched. It was so true to how we humans act when we're anxious and when we're afraid. And again, it was this feeling of, I actually have a little sense of what these people went through, of this one person's personal hell. The way life seems horrific, and then all of a sudden there's hope, and then it's gone. And you gave so much dignity to that person's story with every pause and every word. Thank you so much. And the steadfastness. I am not getting off this train no matter what. I still have a will. I still can make a decision. At least I can try to make a decision, right? I can make it in my head. Thank you, Deborah. Really beautiful.
Thank you.
Based on the chat, I think we need to bring up the information slide because a lot of people seem to want to know what happened to Edward Albler.
So he does
let's
make
bring
it
that
out.
information. He does make it
They hold him for
out. We need to take a moment.
They hold him for that.
We need to
when
make
they
it
pick him
out.
up on a train. So he does make it out. This is a survivor. We got it from his testimony.
Yes, and he does come to the United States in a few weeks with his wife and family, and we're so grateful. Deborah, what the story itself and what's happening is horrific. I could listen to you tell that story 10 times a day. There is everything that's just wonderful about the bringing of testimony and the combination with storytelling. And I want to shift for a second because the other tellers, we focused on their roles. We talked about why Violet is involved in this particular awareness awareness path. We talked about Lynn and the impact of storytelling on the historian. Jennifer shared the role of the storyteller and the eternal role to be part of bringing the way you match time to the reality of how you're telling the story is always fascinating. And I was wondering, you've talked many times about Teach the Shoah isn't just about telling and sharing testimony, but bringing forth lessons, the lessons of the Holocaust, what we can learn from what these people experienced. So what are you trying to tell us with the time, the minute? What are you doing?
So it's amazing. It's amazing how a few minutes can make a difference in somebody's life. right? These few minutes were such a big impact on his life. And I want everybody to think about what can happen in a few minutes. And right now, at this moment in history, we are called upon every day to witness against hate and ignorance. I mean, every day right now. And sometimes you have a few minutes to say something that will change the way somebody thinks, that will open their eyes, that will broaden their understanding. Here at Teach the Show Up, the stories that we tell, most of them are less than 10 minutes long. As you've heard tonight, you know, we've had these very short stories. And listening to the tellers, I have been blown away by how much can be conveyed in less than 10 minutes. And watching the audiences, the students, when I tell to them, I am amazed by how much can be taken in and learned in less than 10 minutes. But at this moment in time, there's something else that I want to notice about this story, because this very detailed framing of the time is particularly powerful, especially right now. Because right now, we're at a transition point. Time is a weird thing, right? 5 minutes can seem like forever when you're waiting to see if you're going to be arrested. But 5 years can go by in a blink when we're trying to make sure that we collect as many survivor memories as we can before we lose the chance. And right now, we are in the process of losing the chance. This is something we have known since the beginning of Teach the Shoah, that we have to be thinking about what Holocaust education and commemoration and awareness looks like when we no longer have survivors. But right now, we do still have survivors, and we need to be listening to them. We need to be passing on their stories. We need to be preserving their stories now before we lose the chance.
I think you capture very well why the emphasis on right now is sort of something you keep saying to us at Teach the Show. We need to do this right now. I think anyone who's involved in the organization is very aware of how much you are like, we need to do this now. We need to keep moving. I'd now like to invite two other folks onto the stage, Paul Dietz and Tanya Wissaker, both of whom are on our board of directors along with me. And we're going to have a conversation about Teach the Shoah, the organization, the folks who see what's happening past the classes, who see what's happening inside. And we've been involved in the governance now. I've been seated with Paul and Tanya for a year. We all remember getting the call from Deborah. Will you please? So I want to start very quickly. Deborah, take a moment. I want you to look at the room. I want you to realize that all of us are here because this is what you've built. This is a team that you're leading. This is the community that's here in support of you. Looking back on where you started, how does it feel? What do you think tonight? What are you thinking?
To be honest, I'm a little overwhelmed. This board, I mean, I want to point out, we've got the three of you on here, but much of the rest of the board is here. Violet, who you heard, Michael Fripp, Mitch Gordon, all of them are here in this room with us. This organization has just gone somewhere that I could never have dreamed. I mean, we started so locally. I mean, we started as an attempt to make sure that our kids, the kids in our synagogue, the synagogue that Michael and I belong to and that Violet was a member of, that our kids understood the importance of the Holocaust to their lives. See, when I was a kid, I had survivors who were as teachers in my Hebrew school. My 5th grade Hebrew teacher, I adored her. She was a survivor, and some of the things she said really touched me very deeply. They told us their stories, our teachers, and we understood that these stories were our stories, both as Jews and as human beings. And our kids were missing that because they didn't have the opportunity to hear survivors. So Violet and I went to Israel, to Yad Vashem, in 2015 to try to find tools to rectify that situation in our one synagogue. And we brought back these amazing resources, these amazing ideas that we kind of realized needed to be shared. We realized very quickly that it wasn't just our synagogue, but there was a broader need for these kinds of tools, these kinds of things that we were building. And as we eventually got to storytelling, we discovered that there was a broader desire in the community to tell these stories, if only they knew how. So Teach the Show really started with a grant that we got in 2016 to bring these resources to a broader community in Dallas, again, locally in Dallas. But the money from that allowed us to build a website, to publish the ritual, to move forward, to start creating some interfaith offerings, and working with the local churches. And then I met Jennifer. And Jennifer and I realized instantly the possibilities of adding storytelling to the Teach the Show portfolio. And we jumped on it. This is what we do, as you said. We have to go, we have to go. We jumped on it. And we started to build a high school storytelling class in 2019, in the fall of 2019. At that point, 2 things happened. The first actually was that I went looking for a survivor to tell a story in our class. And I discovered that there were none. There were no survivors in Dallas who could come into our classroom and tell these stories. I had realized that, or I had known that this was coming. I just didn't realize we were so close to the closing of that window. And all of a sudden things become much more urgent, just like we were talking about a minute ago. The second thing that happened, of course, was the pandemic, which sent everybody online, which allowed us to shift from a local organization to an online organization, to a global organization. And we found ourselves just perfectly aligned and prepared to do that, to go online and to take advantage of this new opportunity. And people started to come join us. And that's been the most amazing thing from my perspective, is how we put this out there and people come join us. I mean, one of the first things that happened was that Lynn stood up and said, I want to be part of this. And Lynn expanded us beyond thinking of this as an American thing into thinking of this as a global online organization. So now we have almost 60 storytellers who are out there, who have learned from us how to tell the testimony-based stories in this way, and who are out there sharing their stories with the community, with our community, with their community. We have 4 lectures per year. We have 5 different classes that we teach. We have storytelling coffee houses every other month. We have hundreds of supporters. We have thousands of followers. We have hundreds of students who are who are hearing the stories that we are bringing out there, and we're still growing. And this has been a really amazing journey. To move from essentially me and Violet and Michael to this incredible community that we are sitting with right now. So I want to bounce this question now to Tanya, because Tanya is one of the number of people who have really stepped up here. Tanya has been a storyteller. She's been a student. She's been a board member. She is a board member. She's been a program facilitator, and she's currently teaching our current cohort of new storytellers. Tanya, how has this journey felt to you?
Well, thank you. Thank you. Actually, I would say this journey has been, for me, transformative and deeply personal and very active. And I really thank both you and Jennifer, Deborah, and Jennifer in particular, for what you've brought for me and for everybody else. So what drew me initially to attend this, I was already working on Jewish storytelling, but what I think draws us to this is we have a story, or we want to carry a story about a person who we don't want to be forgotten. So maybe your own family member or someone you've heard about. And when I read recently that Dr. Samuel Pisar mentioned that soon history will speak with the impersonal voice of researchers and novelists, that's really what this is about. I have been given tools to research historical facts. My job is to really faithfully share what happened. But the storytelling part has given me a way to honor that person's voice. And then when I share my story, we are all experiencing those words. We are all engaging directly with their memories, with their testimonies. So all of us who have been students in these classes combined, I'm sure we have over 100 stories, survivors, victims, partisan members, resistance fighters, liberators, all of these different stories. And we're all carrying those stories. And because we share those stories in a voice that makes you engage and feel connected, those memories aren't being lost. And I do really feel that we're not just transforming the people who hear our stories, we are really transforming ourselves. I do so much research to tell a 5 or 10 minute story, and that leads me to more stories and more people. And I feel really lucky to be part of this.
And Tanya, we are very fortunate that someone like you is involved in so many elements of Teach the Shoah. And, Deborah, I have heard you tell me the story of where we started, and I'm still amazed that that's where we started. So the class, the rituals, the public lectures, we know this, we know this story. And Paul, you and I have had many a conversation about, in the board meetings, about getting the organization to be ready, the organization to find its footing so that it's going to move forward and be sustainable. And you bring to the board, along with folks like Mitch and Michael and other folks, that knowledge as a leader in business, a leader in nonprofits. I know you're on your Temple board. I was wondering, as one of the folks who's sat and seen the budgets and seen the meetings and seen what Deborah, as you know, brings to us every quarter and amazes us with, I'm wondering how you see it from an organizational perspective. How's Teach the Shoah doing? How are you seeing our journey? And you're on mute.
I'm much easier to listen to when I'm on mute. Look, I remember when Violet Helms and Deborah Fripp went to Israel and came back, and they had some ideas, and it was rough and it was interesting. And that was a lot of years ago. And when Deborah approached me about joining the board, I really didn't think there was anything I could offer. The brain trust that is the group Teach the Shoah didn't look like it needed someone with rough edges and very businesslike. I'm not a Jewish scholar by any stretch of the imagination, and I just didn't know what I could bring. And we met, I guess, like last September, maybe, first time. And since that time, there's been a board constituted and seated, bylaws have been adopted with great accolades to Mitch Gordon and whoever was working with him. One of the most flawless strategic plans I've seen in an organization this size was generated. There's just been the whole communication. Thank you, Erica. The whole communication process has been turned on its head, and there's been serious talk about strategic growth, right? And what I see now, we had our donor appeal first ever, which was successful beyond anybody's measure, right? What I see now is an organization, it's impossible to think about, but it's true. In 1 year's time, the groundwork has been laid for upside potential, which is extraordinary. The infrastructure is in place and it's scalable, right? This is happening at the same time that we need storytellers to continue to tell the story. It's almost as if, a larger hand was at play in this if you're a religious kind of person. While the board was doing this, and board meetings to me are very often like drinking from a fire hose because there's so much that has been done since the last board meeting. It's tremendous. The general staff and administration continues to promote extraordinary programming, teaching classing, partnerships opportunities, getting Teach the Shoah into the minds of the larger Jewish community and not Jewish community. It's extraordinary for what is essentially primarily a volunteer organization. I mean, people are donating of their time. It's just amazing. If you close your eyes in this organization, if you blink, you'll be amazed at what's happened. I mean, the flood of emails and wonderful things to review is just, I've never seen anything like it. Now, I was in business and I did stuff mostly for the Jewish community really throughout my career on the side, temple boards and federations and the like. But the groundwork that's been laid in 1 year, I've never seen anything like it in private or in nonprofit. So you look under the hood and you've got an organization that's created this incredibly strong, stable, sound framework. I just can see this place, this organization growing beyond belief. I'm thrilled to be on this board when I was absolutely not sure I had a place to be of service.
Oh, can I say, when I asked Paul to be on the board, he said, but I'm not a Jewish educator. And I said, I have Jewish educators. That's not what I need. I need you. You have things that I need, and skills that I need. And Paul has been amazing. And the board as a whole has been the most amazing support. I think constituting that board was probably the smartest thing I ever did. Possibly short of getting Lynn to come and join us. It's been a really amazing journey.
So we'll all own that for a minute. Go ahead, Paul. I look like you're ready to jump in there.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh no, that's totally fine. So I want to jump from what Paul was saying to Deborah. You've now heard from one of your program folks. You've now heard from the folks who sit on the board and look at the numbers and the spreadsheets. So what's your take? Because I think you have some news for us.
I could not be prouder of where we are right now. I mean, this, as Paul said, this year has been incredible. It has been a year of enormous growth and really fast-moving change. Growth in our structure, in our governance, in our reach, in our team, in our programming. It's been really amazing. And right now, I really feel we're ready. We're ready to move forward. We're ready for the next thing. And we have all the tools in place. And we're ready, as it turns out, to meet a need of this moment. And so let me tell you about this need of this moment. Lynn and Jennifer and I attended the Association of Holocaust Organizations June meeting in New York this year. At the very end of that meeting, the last talk of the meeting was a talk by the members of the Claims Conference. The Claims Conference are the people who are responsible for dispersing the restitution money that Germany gives to survivors. And the vice president of the Claims Conference stood up and said, 10 years ago, the most common question that we got from survivors was, how do I get home health care? Now it's, who will tell my story? As you can imagine, listening to this, our heads came up. Lynn and I were sitting together and we looked at each other, and, you know, if we could have, we would have jumped up and raised our hands and said, we will, because we have the tools to do this. We have the tools, the setup, we have all the resources to answer this question, who will tell our stories? So we came home and we created this program that we're calling Lesaper. Lesaper means to tell. And the idea behind Lesaper is that we are gathering in new storytellers, younger storytellers, and connecting them with survivors so that these younger storytellers listen to the survivors and learn to tell their stories and become custodians of their memory. Now, working with survivors is a kind of a new thing for us, because I mean, as I said before, we started in Dallas and we wanted to work with survivors and we didn't have any. So we have always worked with testimony, written testimony, video testimony, oral testimony, building stories from what has been given already. But we have all the tools, all the resources that we need to be able to do this and pull in the survivors into what we're already doing. So this is how it works. We are gathering storytellers who are somewhat younger, 18 to 40, in order that they will be carrying this story on for a long time. We are giving them some guidance in how to interview survivors and a lot of support as they do. We are pairing them with survivors and sending them out to interview these survivors about their experience. And then these tellers come back to us and we help them, guide them in the building of stories that they can tell from the stories they got from the survivor. These tellers, when they come in, they are pledging that they will take this story and take it out into the world and continue to tell it, so that these stories continue to be told long after the survivors are no longer around to tell them. So, you know, I said before, when we see an opportunity, we run at it. And this one, there is such urgency. You know, I think I said earlier, 5 years can go by in a blink when we're trying to collect all these survivors' memories. So we knew we couldn't wait. And we started this summer, and you are going to hear in a few minutes from our first storyteller, our first young woman who has worked with a survivor, our first survivor storyteller pairing, who have worked really hard this summer with Jennifer Zunikov, our storytelling director, and Steve Salzberg, a psychiatrist with Shoah Foundation training, who have helped them build these stories to prove that this was doable. This is a proof of concept. And at the same time, we are working to gather in the first cohorts of storyteller survivor pairs that hopefully we'll be able to tell you more about in the coming months in the fall and early winter. So I think without further ado, Erica, would you introduce us to our first new custodian of memory?
Yes, I am so honored to have this opportunity. So if I could please have the info slide about Acadia. For everybody on the call, everybody in the room, if you have been a storyteller with Teeth to Shoah, you know that it's a big deal to finish, but I really need to acknowledge Acadia Schechter, who was our summer intern. She's a junior at the University of Pittsburgh studying religious, medieval, and Judaic studies, VP of Jewish Experience. And she stepped up this summer when we wanted to put this proof of concept into place, and she will forever be in our hearts as the person who said yes and stepped into trying this concept out. But Acadia is one part of the conversation, one story. And so before Acadia begins her telling, I am going to do a more traditional introduction of Vera Kostenberg, who is the survivor that Acadia directly interviewed this summer in order to bring you tonight's story. I'm not going to read the slide in detail, but I do want to acknowledge that Vera is with us tonight, and we will hear from her a little bit later, along with Acadia. And so I'm going to simply say, because it's now very much Acadia's moment, and this is the premiere of the first Lesaper story. Tonight, our story starts in Berlin in 1938. Is plaza and a woman standing in the center of it. It's Berlin, 1938, and the woman is on a trip from Hungary. For her husband, it's a business trip. For her, it's a sightseeing trip. And she's holding a new snakeskin pocketbook, a souvenir that she's just purchased. The loudspeakers around the plaza crackle to life. She hears the voice of the dictator of Germany. He says, "We have annexed Austria. They have welcomed us with open arms." Woman's name is Clara. She and her husband Felix go home to their two children in Budapest, their son Michael and their young daughter Vera. She has, as soon as her children were able to understand, Clara says to them, "When you're afraid, say the Shema, and you'll know that God is with you, that he's strong, and he'll protect you." She says, "Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one." Vera is watching her father listen to the radio. She's 7 years old, it's 1943, and her father has his head pressed up to the radio like this so that he can hear it. The sound is all the way down. Germany and Hungary are allies, and Hungarians cannot listen to the radio at certain times of the day. It's illegal because during those times, the British and Americans come over the airways. But her father is listening, and he is hearing about the death camps in Poland, about Auschwitz. He is afraid. The whole family, all four of them, are gathered around the kitchen sink. It's Rosh Hashanah of 1943, and they're about to do tashlik, a ritual where Jews cast bread into the water to wash away their sins for the year. Vera is remembering Rosh Hashanah's past. When they've all dressed up, she's put on her new dress and new shoes, and they've gone to the river Danube, which flows through Budapest, and thrown their bread there, and watched it swirl away in the water and sink or be eaten by geese. It's weird doing it in the sink. She doesn't like it. But her mother tells her, "The running water in the sink will wash away your sins, just like the river." So they do it anyway. Vera is Margit. That is, Vera is pretending to be a Christian girl named Margit.
Margit is the daughter of one of her father's employees at his factory, and she has Margit's papers. She learns to be a Christian girl. She learns to cross herself and genuflect, and she is very good at it. She never makes a mistake. But she never forgets what her mother taught her about saying the Shema. And in her head, she says it to herself when she's afraid, and she knows that God is with her. Vera is playing with another little girl. They're picking flowers and doing all of the games that little girls do. It's 1944, and Vera has been reunited with her mother. They're staying at a hotel outside of Budapest. They're escaping the constant bombing of the city. Vera can see, as she's outside, planes flying overhead. They can always tell which planes are German and which ones are Soviet, because the Soviet planes drop bombs that light up the night sky like fireworks. They're called Stalin candles. Clara is busy wondering where they're going to go when the hotel closes at the end of the summer. The mother of the girl that Vera's playing with tells her, "You can come and stay with us." Clara thinks, "I need this more than anything. I know what the penalty is for harboring Jews, and I can't subject a stranger to that unknowingly. I cannot trade my life for hers. I cannot trade my daughter's life for her daughter's life." She says, "We're in hiding because we're Jewish." The woman says, "I am German, and my husband is Jewish, and my son is in the Hitler Youth, and you can come and stay with us." Vera and Clara are hiding in a bunker. There was fighting at the woman's house, and they had to leave, so they're in another suburb of Budapest, underground, in the dark, in the cold. It's January of 1945, and bombs are falling constantly on Budapest. And then there's a sound different from the bombs. Fighting going door to door. Then there's banging at theirs, and they don't want to answer it. They don't know who it is. It could be Germans, but they have to answer it, and in burst soldiers with guns pointed at them, screaming, "Chasi!" Watch in Russian. The soldiers want their gold watches. The people give them their gold watches. The soldiers look around the room and see some young women. And they say, "You and you and you, come with us. We need you to peel potatoes for the army." And the soldiers and the young women leave. Some of the women come back. They gather the people in the bunker and they say, "The Russians are not our friends. They are not here to help us. They are here to steal from us, and they are here to rape us." Vera knows that her mother is a young woman. She takes a piece of cloth and climbs on her mother's lap and says, "Wrap this around your head and pretend to be old so they won't take you." So they sit, Clara with her head wrapped up, pretending to be old, and Vera on her lap, hoping that the Russians don't come back to take them. And luckily, they don't. In the apartment, and at the farm, at the hotel and the woman's house, and in the bunker, Vera remembers what her mother taught her: to say the Shema, to know that God is with her. Decades and thousands of miles away from the war, Vera is looking at her own children. She says to them, when you are afraid, say the Shema, and you'll know that God is with you, and that he's strong, and that he'll protect you. She says, Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one.
Oh,
Hi, Lynn.
it's beautiful, beautiful how you said it.
Thanks, Vera.
It brought tears to my eyes,
Oh,
and you were just wonderful, wonderful.
oh, thank you, Vera.
I didn't know when we started to talk whether you will understand me with my accent, whether you will understand what I mean, whether it was clear what I said. It was very difficult for me at the beginning. When I got to know you more, maybe at the second time we talked, then I felt that you are wonderful and you will do a good job. And you sure did. My concerns were eliminated. And you told me about the goal, what you want to know, what before the war, my life, and middle of the war, and after the war. And you did a great job, and you were very good with retelling accurately the story. And it was a pleasure working with you, and I wish you all the best and good luck.
Thank you, Vera.
I would like us to all, I would like us to all hold. Let's just hold. Right now on the screen is everybody that is going to say something to Acadia. But I feel pretty confident that all of us really are going to have a hard time following that. Vera, thank you. Thank you for speaking from the heart. Thank you for everything. I'm going to just bravely start with Lynn. And Lynn, I'm going to let you share with Acadia as well and build on that amazing acknowledgement and appreciation.
Acadia, may I appreciate you?
Yes, Lynn, thank you.
Well, I'll start with the biggest shkoyach and chazak ubaruch. You did such a beautiful telling. I felt every scene, and you're all my witness. When I'm going to do Tashlich this year, this is what I have in my mind, is you telling that scene in front of the sink. Blew my mind away. So that was amazing. And I love the work you put into this, and it came across in your telling. And I know how hard you worked also on the history that came behind it with all our little conversations behind the scenes. But your telling was just superb. Big, big shkoyach.
You. Thank you. Yay.
Violet, I would love to hear, and I'm sure Acadia would as well.
Adia, may I give you appreciation?
Absolutely.
Yasha Khan, that was absolutely riveting. And I am just so proud of you. You gathered the story and you gave it back in portions that made us want more. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so nice coming from you whose story was so I want more.
Stephen, would you like, I know you worked with Acadia on the interviewing process.
Yes, Acadia, may I give you an appreciation?
Yes. Hi, Steve.
Hi. I'll tell you, we met just 6 weeks ago. That people have to understand how staggering that is. After we met the first time, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Jennifer and I talked, and we kind of said, she's going to do it. She's going to be great. And thank you for not making me be a liar. You're wonderful. You touched, I've heard the story before. I know Vera. She's one of my favorite people. And I've heard you tell it before, but this time you just touched me so deeply as you told it. Thank you so much.
You. I didn't think you.
Jennifer, would you like to acknowledge and appreciate Acadia?
Yes, I think I've stopped crying enough to do that. Acadia, may I give you appreciations?
It's Jennifer, you may.
It has been such a joy in my summer to get to know you. This has been a really hard summer for the Jewish community. It's been a lot of work for all of us. And to get to work with you and Steve, who's also one of my favorite people. And Acadia, you have become one of my favorite people too. I feel like we have bonded. There's a friendship that is formed that is beyond this work. And I love your personality. I love to me, you have a holiness in you. And when you do this work, you take it so seriously. It has been such a pleasure and a blessing. And I'm so grateful for Vera to have you as one of the people who is carrying this on for the next generation. May you continue to tell. And I know that you are going to be a phenomenal Jewish educator. And this will just be one very powerful of many powerful experiences that you take to the next generation. So thank you.
You're going to make me cry. I'm doing really well so far.
I'm just lucky I don't have very good light. Deborah, I think this is your moment. This is where you get to share with Acadia and share with all of us.
So first, Acadia, as we say, may I give you appreciations?
Deborah, you may.
So I want to appreciate you in a couple of ways. First of all, that the story, I had not heard it before, and it beautiful telling, beautiful crafting too. I really love the way you drew the Shema all the way through from one end to the other. And I have to say, knowing you a little bit and knowing how important your Judaism is to you made that a little more, I don't know, gave it a little more of a punch for me. Really, really loved that aspect of it. But I also want to give you an appreciation because, I mean, Steve said you started this 6 weeks ago, but it's even more than that. You joined us as an intern in the beginning of June. So less than 3 months ago, I guess about 3 months ago. And you had no idea what it was we were doing or who we were or any of this. You didn't know anything about Teach the Showa before then. And you just threw yourself into everything we did. And when I came to you and I said, Acadia, we really want you to do this, you said, yeah, I can do that. And you were right, you could. And we were hoping for, as I said at the beginning of this section, a proof of concept. And boy, did you prove this concept. Thank you. Thank you for giving our new program the perfect start.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing out the Shema. I like that part best.
I want to thank Steve and Jennifer and Vera, of course, too, because this was a team effort and they all put a lot of work into it in the last 6 weeks, and a lot of themselves and a lot of passion into it. So,
Can I thank them real quick too?
yes.
Okay. I also want to thank Steve and Jennifer for meeting with me, especially Jennifer, so many times, and especially and mostly Vera for meeting with me, answering all of my questions, and just being really quite lovely, honestly. I'm just so lucky to have gotten to talk to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And it is really wonderful. And I wish you good luck telling the story. And I know that some of the young people that were in a program before at Goucher, as you heard, some of the people learned a lot, meaning I told you that my husband was a survivor also, and he had a tattoo. And this young man was African American, and he said, if Felix survived over there and had a tattoo, I have a tattoo also, but mine was from a different reason. I wanted it, that's why I had it. And he said, if Felix survived, then I will have a better life. And he stopped doing all kinds of things, and he went to college, and he was a wonderful man. And we were in touch for a long time. So I hope that we keep in touch.
Lovely. Thank you.
Erica, you're muted.
Sam. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Acadia. I think it is time to just very quickly bring our program to a close. Thank you, everyone who stayed. I know we weren't sure how this was going to go. We had 90 minutes in mind, and we're pretty much almost there. So if you could, Lynn, if you wouldn't mind bringing up the coming next slide for me, that would be great. Awesome. I need to give one very serious appreciation to Lynn Feldman, who has been a rock, not just a rock star, a rock in the last few weeks, helping us pull everything that you have seen tonight together. I'm not going to read this because everybody here is on our email list and everybody here can see our Facebook page, but this is just a taste of what's coming up in the next season in Teach the Shoah. So keep your eye on all the places you look for us, and definitely keep your eye on what's coming next for Lesaper, because we have very high hopes that in December we will have a very exciting update, and we'll look forward to sharing it with you then. Deborah, did you want to close us out with some thank yous or anything you wanted to say to close?
Yeah, because we need to start with an enormous thank you to Erica. This has been Erica's project from the beginning, and Paul said something about you blink and something and all kinds of things happened. I blinked, and all of a sudden we had this gala, and it was incredible. And Erica, this has been such a pleasure to just watch you work. And so thank you. And thank you to Lynn, because Lynn has been Erica's right hand throughout the process of doing this gala and putting this program together. And it has been an incredible program. But before we go, I have to also thank Erica, because for everything that you have given us in the last year, you have thrown yourself into this organization in a way that I wouldn't have dreamed of asking for when I asked you to be on the board. And where we are now has a lot to do with what you have given us this year. So thank you. And of course, thank you to Lynn, who is also my right hand in
She's
everything.
mine now. You're never getting her back.
Nope. Yeah, I mean, this organization would not, I think I said this before, would not be where it is without Lynn. Thank you to Jennifer and Violet and Michael and the rest of the team who have gotten us where we are. And thank you to the board who have been an amazing support this year. And I want to thank everybody in this room, because you are our community, and coming with us tonight and on this journey, and you're why we do this and how we do this. We're nothing without our tellers and without our supporters and without our listeners. So thank you to everyone for that.
And with that, if we could have the last slide. No, really, the last slide. Thank you. There's nothing more to say than that. And so we hope that you can with us. Please stay tuned. From everyone that you saw tonight trusted me to just do this. And I want to thank you all for, as Deborah said, watching me and letting me work. And I couldn't have asked for a more supportive team. So I want to thank everyone for coming together. And with that, I wish everyone a wonderful evening. And tonight, I guess yesterday, today, was the first of Elul. So may your New Year's observances be meaningful, and may we all be sealed for a good year.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.